Welcome to Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubbell Realty Company.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here today. My name is Matt Daniels. I'm the Director of Operations for Origin Homes, the rural build-on-your-lot builder. We travel all across Iowa, trying to get to all 99 counties. I'm currently sitting here on this beautiful Monday morning with Michelle Sandin from Farm Credit. Thanks for participating today, Michelle. It's good to see you.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is it's an exciting opportunity for us to get out and spread the word and talk a little bit about our partnership and things that we see in rural Iowa and some opportunities that we see with Farm Credit Rural First, and just really want to hear a little bit from you on some of the loans that you offer, the types of loans, some things that you see come across your desk, and then we can talk a little bit about a few of the things that we see on our end on the build side. So I'll let you take it from here and talk a little bit more about that.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me. So my name is Michelle Sandin, Consumer Lending Officer here at Farm Credit Services of America. A little history on Farm Credit. So there is the Farm Credit Association covers all of the United States. There's many Farm Credit associations, and we currently serve about over 640,000 customers. So very unique. We're known as agriculture's most valued lender. Farm Credit Services of America currently serves four and a half states: Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, South Dakota, and part of Kansas. And in 2019, we partnered with Farm Credit Mid-America, so another Farm Credit Association, to enhance our consumer lending product. So we had a consumer lending division before, but partnering with Rural First just allowed us to give more opportunity to our customers. One of the things was recreational land, more competitive interest rates across the market, and then our one-time construction permanent loan, which is what I do a lot of.
Can you kind of explore that construction to perm a little bit? I know we're kind of diving right into it, but honestly, it's important. You know, we typically what we see, and that the times are changing a little bit with how we do our loans, but our clients, you know, they own their own land, they take out their own construction loan, and then typically after that period of construction, when that's over, so it's like two closings, right? There's a closing at the beginning before you can get your financing, and a closing at the end. We get to a substantial completion date, and then it turns over and they have to complete their loan. So can you enlighten me a little bit more on and explain to our audience the construction to perm financing and how that plays out?
Absolutely. Yep. So that's how we are very different and very unique than a lot of other lenders. Is we have that one-time construction loan. So how we do it is we do everything up front. It's a one-time close. We're going to get your credit qualified, and then we're going to order an as-completed appraisal. So I'm ordering that appraisal based on the plans, bids, specs of what you're building. Also the land, you know, so I'm going to need the survey or the purchase agreement if you don't own the land already. And I'm going to have our appraiser give me an as-completed value. So once I have that value, that helps me determine my max loan amount. And then essentially, we are closing the loan. So all of the closing costs are done up front. It's a one-time close. The customer actually has the opportunity to lock their interest rate on day one.
Nice.
So, they've got 12 months to complete the project. And then we monitor it along the way, do inspections along the way too, to make sure we're evenly dispersed with evenly constructed as best we can. And then once the project's done, there's no more cost. So they're already locked in up front. We don't do another appraisal. We don't do title work again. It's a one-time close, and everything is done at the beginning.
Is there a minimum number of acres, or let's say I own a lot in town in somewhere in Carroll County or Warren County or somewhere, and I want to work with you guys to get that loan? Is there a minimum amount of land that I need to have in order to qualify?
Nope, there is not. Because we're an ag lender, we do focus on our farmers, so part-time, full-time farmers, but we also lend to what we call a non-farmer or rural resident. Now, for a rural resident, I do have a little bit of guidelines as far as I can't lend in a town of a population more than 2,500 if they're not a farmer. So, but as far as size, I can do a half acre, I can do 40, 80, 120 acres. Whatever that customer wants to pledge as collateral, there's no minimum.
Okay. Yeah, and that kind of leads into how we met. We have 3 clients right now. I won't call out all their names or their loan amounts, but I can tell you that they're in Carroll County. There's one in Warren County, and then I believe it's Marshall County, if I'm not mistaken. So the Rural First name kept coming across our desk, and we partner with lenders all across the state. And so when we have 3 come up right away, we're like, okay, we need to meet and chat and talk a little bit more about the opportunities with Rural First. So if people ask me questions, I like to have a few nuggets to just say, no, you don't necessarily need to be a farmer and necessarily have cattle, right? Or chickens or horses or whatever we're doing here. Like, how many combines do I need to have in order to
not necessarily
in order to qualify for the loan? So no, that's great. What are what are your rates right now? And what are the averages, or where are we at today in the market with your rate?
So rates kind of vary based on kind of credit score, the term. We do require at least 15% down. So that can come in the form of cash, or it can also come in the form of equity. So if somebody owns other real estate, or they own that lot free and clear already, that can be used as part of their down payment. Okay. So rates kind of, are just depending on if they want to do variable or fixed. They're just kind of all across the board. It kind of depends on the customer.
Yeah, it sounds pretty flexible, and you guys have some options for people. So like you said, if you own a lot here in this town, but maybe you own an acreage somewhere else, it's definitely worth the phone call. Yep. How would one get in touch with you? What's the easiest way to get your application started? I know we've talked a little bit about this, but just for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. So, everything that we do is all online. So we do have a website, ruralfirst.com, and then eventually they'll get it to the correct loan officer that would be in that county. There's 5 of us across Iowa. There's 16 of us total within our 4.5 states. So corporate does a good job of figuring out where you want to build, what county it is, and steer you to the right loan officer. But the nice thing is the application is all online. The documents that we require, tax returns, pay stubs, bank statements, things like that, you can upload directly to your online loan application. So it's very unique. It's easy for the customers. If they want to meet in person, we can still do that. We do cover, like myself, I have 25 counties, so it's a big area. Yeah. So Zoom calls a lot, but like I said, once you have that initial conversation on the phone, or if it happens to be in person, that online application is very easy and user friendly. And you'd be surprised we get notified when documents are being uploaded, and you'd be surprised the time. It's maybe after 9 o'clock when the kiddos are in bed, or Sunday night, when it's like, I got to get that application done for Michelle. So it's easy for the customer to have access to.
Okay. I had a question and I just lost it.
Oh, did you? I have it. No, go.
What I was going to say, we can relate on the Zoom calls and things because our clientele is typically more than an hour away. And so we do a lot of the back and forth with the Zoom and the Teams calls and just really getting an understanding, before we meet in person. So I'm sure it's going to be very similar for you guys when you're starting the process. Oh, I thought of my question. Can you talk a little bit about the portal and how that works and how that's user friendly when they get their loan and they start working with the builder?
Get built.
Get built.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
It's called.
Pretty
built.
Get built.
Also, can we just do a quick shout out? You guys let them anyone bring their, pick your own builder, right? Choose your own builder, which is kind of.
No, it has to be Origin.
It has to be Origin.
Well, for this purpose, it has to be Origin. But I think that, it's bring your own. There's no.
Right. Exactly.
I like that even playing field.
Yeah. We work with a lot of builders. We do allow self-general. There's a difference between self-general and self-built. Built is hammer to the nail. Self-general is, maybe I have somebody that's putting up the shed, but I need to get the HVAC and the plumbing, and, things like that.
They have some connections.
Yep.
They know some people that they trust and they want to use, but general themselves.
We will allow that. I mean, we need a lot of, and even if I'm working with a general contractor, I want to have, because I'm ordering that upfront appraisal, the better plans, bids, and specs you give me, that's going to help my appraiser. Yeah. Our appraisers are all on staff at Farm Credit, so that's another plus kudos that we have.
Yeah, that's great.
But they want to see what's going into this project, and even if there's something else that they're going to build, or maybe that's already on the land. Is there a shed, 40 by 60 machine shed that's got cement floor and it's got it's all heated? Is there a pond? If there's some acres, what's on it? So that's what I really have to advise my customers is I need to know everything. And that's just going to help make the process go a little bit better.
And so if Origin was tasked with, okay, we're going to build the house for a client and they want us to build a shed, that can all be lumped into one loan with you guys.
Absolutely. We can do that all in one. So there again, I'm going to need plans and bids for all of it because I'm going to value everything that's going on that property.
Sure.
So once we got the appraisal, we've got title work and we've got them all closed, right? They're locked in. They're good to go. We do use, it's called getbuilt.com. So
I saw that come through the other day. For one of ours.
That's our online portal where the builder has access and then my customer has access. And then I, as the loan officer, can see all of my construction loans. But it's really user-friendly and unique. So what's going to happen is Mr. Builder is going to upload an invoice. Customer gets an email to approve it because we will never send out the customer's funds without saying, yep, go ahead.
Sure.
I approve. Matt's doing well, right? And then we send the funds directly to the builder. Or you guys sign a form at closing whether you want it to the builder or Mr. Customer wants it to hand deliver. It could be a check. It could be an ACH, wire. However you guys want to get the money to you, the builder, is how we're going to do it. Then all that is online, right? For you to see, Mr. Customer to see, and then we do inspections along the way. And so those inspections will be online too, so everybody has access to view all that. And then you as a contractor, now that we've got 3 going right now and hopefully many more.
That's what I was just going to say, how great that is, right?
You just have one login and password. So you hop on that website and you can see all of your projects. It's not like you need a separate login and password for every project that you do.
No, and that makes it a little bit easier for us.
Slick.
It is really slick. And when you have, multiple team members that are helping out with the draws and putting things together, it's nice to have, that one login that we can all just say, okay, here it is, go.
I think the hashtag for this episode should be #GetBuilt.
Get built.
Get built.
Yeah, it's true.
I have a question, if it's okay to interject. Wondering, can you guys talk about just the custom home market as it is today and what you guys are seeing? Because I think the housing market in general is a very hot topic.
Sure.
The interest rates are, but I think when it comes to custom builds and people building very rural, I'd like your input on that.
Yeah. And I mean, I would say probably 95% of my portfolio is construction. So I love construction, right? So I'll kind of pose that question back to you, Matt, is, houses are becoming hard to find, especially rural. People want acreages, whether they want a little 1, 2, 3 acre lot, or if they own 40 and they want to build it on that. And I have people come to me and they say, I don't even know where to begin, and it's, everybody's in their own kind of unique situation, but it's meeting with a contractor such as yourself and figuring out, what's my budget? What do I want to build? And it can be as custom as you want it,
right,
or not, right?
And so the first part of your question, Claire, I think with rates last year, everybody had a little bit of sticker shock. And so everybody kind of pulled back a little bit and was holding off, saying, okay, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Let's just wait. We still had a pretty good year, still built some homes and got had some great clients and were able to get them in. But this year, coming into January, February, we saw an uptick. We saw an uptick in leads. We saw an uptick in clients that were interested and trying to figure out, once they understood that some of that, okay, I can't afford this. This is my new rate and I can't afford this. One thing I'll say about us, our team, we really pride ourselves on our product, our process, and our people. And from that very first meeting, that first phone call, that first Teams call, or just that meeting in person, you get the vibe, like, these are small town people that I want to work with, that understand what I'm trying to do. I'm on a budget, but I still want it to be nice. I don't want to just throw a house up in the middle of my property And sometimes it's land that was gifted to them. It's got sentimental value to them, or there was, a grandparent involved or something. And so we take that to heart, and we actually encourage, do you have anything special that you want to include in the house? Is there an old beam from a barn? Is there some kind of type of light fixture or something that's important to you? Just things like that add a little bit of value, I think, to the whole process. And we're very clear about the budget up front. We make the selections. We spend a lot of time planning. I say it's, building a house is almost 2/3 planning and 1/3 doing. And that comes from years of experience of, if you just start going and you don't really have that plan mapped out, it leaves a lot of questions and it can hurt your expectation as a client. So we try to set the expectation early and often through the process. But at the beginning, it's really important. There's a lot of back and forth. And sometimes it seems slow as the client. You're like, okay, are we ever going to build this thing? It's like, well, yes, but we got to pick out your LVP. What do you want for your cabinets? How much countertop? What are we doing here? And so once we get everything pinned down and we have the green light and we've submitted our plan specs budgets, we're going. And I always tell our clients, and this sounds like a broken record for those that know me, but you could give us the budget and sign off on your plan specs and leave for 6 months.
Yes.
And come back and your house is built exactly what you picked that day. Now, you might not remember what you picked.
Right.
Because it was so long ago, but that's the idea behind it, is a little bit of that production meets custom with no limits on the custom, really. You can do it ever you want. We can make your plan whatever you want it to be, move walls, add walls. And there's still going to be some things on site that we need to change, but hopefully it's minimal and it's before drywall, right? Yeah. Otherwise we're going, boy.
Yeah, and people that have heard me on our podcast too, I say the same thing. Like, construction is probably you're only going to do it once, maybe again. It's a big investment, and when you look at that dollar amount, you look at the interest rate. Take your time, and I would say find a contractor that's willing to work with you, because this is not going to happen overnight.
Sure.
It takes 3, 4, 5, even up to 6 months. I mean, I'll have people approved, and by the time they're back to me after they've got their plans, business specs, maybe that's expired, so we have to quick, update everything. But I tell them, be patient.
Right.
This is something that this is your dream. You want it to be right.
The relationship is important.
Absolutely.
Because it's at the forefront of all your thoughts. It lives right here when you decide to build a house. And so, I encourage people, get a couple bids, don't just trust one, go ahead and get 2 or 3 bids. But then when you come back to origin, you'll realize that, hey, this is the people you want to work with, this is the right group that you want to be around during the build.
Well, and I think that's it. You guys have hit it off so well, just from like a team member standpoint. It's been fun to get to know you guys. But it's the compliments at the end of the day that you guys are getting as a small team too, to just say like, oh, I walked in as a client and I left as a friend.
Right.
And you guys have heard that.
Yeah, when they start inviting you to like their Friendsgiving and stuff like that, you're like, okay, we did something right here.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And your referrals, right? Your referrals
are huge.
Yes.
From your customers, and that means a lot. It is huge.
Big part of it. Being able to have people that vouch for you and say, I had a great experience, and I'm encouraging my friend to have a great experience, and hopefully in 5 years they build another house.
Yeah.
I know a lot of these are dream homes that want to stay there forever, but things change and you just never know what's going to happen. So you want to make sure they have a great experience from the very beginning all the way through the build and through the warranty and at the end. So
because
and
that's why I always tell them that relationship, because things change. Things may change when you're halfway through. So that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's why you want that good relationship to make sure that you get what you want at the end of the project.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was going to totally do a 180 and say, how did you guys get into this business?
It's a good question. Yeah. When I was a teenager, I started tearing off roofs, for a builder in town in Waverly. And I liked being outside. I liked working with my hands, liked getting a good tan back in the day.
Good farmer's tan.
Yeah, farmer's tan. But in college, I worked for another builder up in Cedar Falls. And he was more what you would see with some of the rural Iowa general contractors, because they general the project, right? We were generaling it and framing it. And sometimes we'd pour concrete And sometimes we'd do the shingles and siding, and sometimes we'd hang drywall but not finish it, and then we'd come back and do trim while generaling it, right? And so what you see in rural Iowa right now is a lot of those general contractors that do that, they do the 2 to 3 to 5 homes a year, and it's been good to keep some towns rolling. And but as we're seeing this growth in rural Iowa, a lot of those guys are retiring, and they're in high demand. They're busy, so they're 1 to 2 years out on every build. So that's how I got into it, Claire, was similar to what you'd see in some rural Iowa. And then just over the course of the last basically 20 years, I've had multiple roles from project manager to field manager to operations director. So it just kind of has evolved. But I'm thankful for all of those jobs that I had, because it gives me a really well-rounded aspect and view of, okay, I can relate to the framer. I know what he's going through when it's negative 20. I know because I've been there, and I know what he's going through when it's 110. And, there's nothing better than showing up with a cooler full of like popsicles or something for the guys on site to, and same with the trim carpenters. I've done all that stuff, setting cabinets, doing trim. So being well-rounded in this industry is huge. And then being able to relate that to the customer experience too, because they don't. I mean, a lot of times it's new and they're just learning with you. So you have to really go above and beyond to just say, hey, they don't know this, and it's okay. It's okay to explain it to them. So, but go ahead and, how'd you get into this, in this industry?
Back in college, I worked for an abstract and title company and kind of got in the title side of things, and then moved back home, went to a local bank. So did consumer lending, more on the secondary market for a little over 15 years. Been at Farm Credit 9 years, all in consumer lending though, just home loans. Did obviously construction is our biggest product at Farm Credit. So really the last 6-8 years have focused on construction. And I think it's educating people, right? Mm-hmm. Not only just if they're purchasing a home, but also building a home. And like you said, they have no idea. And so I love just being able to give them education. So many people today want to build that home. They don't know where to begin, how to start. I do a construction event once a year where I bring them in, and all we talk about is construction, right?
Oh, okay.
What we do,
when is that?
Typically it's February, March every year.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Gives everybody, out of the winter blues, and I'm getting ready for springtime. So yeah,
that's a good time of year to do that. Yeah,
it is. I've had architects there, surveyors, but it's all free. It's just education. Getting to that consumer. So if they want it, if this is their dream, we're going to make it happen.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe around the holidays would be a good time to, people start thinking about.
What are you saying, Matt?
Yeah.
Well, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so will we ever see you with a tool belt on the roof?
On the roof? No, because I don't like heights.
Or swinging a hammer, framing a wall. The banker comes out and starts framing the house.
I do. It's nice because remember getbuilt.com. I can hop on and see all those inspections. So that's easy for me. We used to, before we partnered with Rural First, I would do all the inspections, and that took time. When you have a lot of counties that you cover, it was fun though, because it maybe kept me a little bit more involved. With the project. But honestly, we have so many customers that we're serving in rural Iowa. It's hard. So I'm thankful for getbuilt.com. But I do, if I happen to be out doing windshield time, driving by and see if anybody's there. Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah. Usually I take, my holiday goodie bag. So it's fun to try and get the contractor on site and take a peek. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You and Matt probably have a lot of windshield time.
Yeah,
I feel like between 25 communities. We'll just say 99 for you. I don't know. You're spanning out across at least.
I brought a list with me today.
Did you?
Warren, these are the counties: Warren, Polk, Harrison, Keokuk, Carroll, Webster, Hamilton, Marshall. That's the 8 right now, unless I'm missing one. Marion. Yeah, Marion. Maybe I'm missing another one. I don't know. It's growing.
I was going to say, not to mention the upcoming, the ones that maybe aren't confirmed, we can't talk about yet.
Right, we can't talk about.
You've kind of got a list.
We
going
do.
on.
Yeah, and we're currently. My team gave me a really great birthday present. Oh. It was a giant map of the state of Iowa, and so the pins are starting to to fill in on each county. So. the day that we hit all 99 is going to be a
big party.
pretty big party, I have a feeling.
Can we
That's
invite
awesome.
Michelle?
Yes,
of
please
course.
do.
Brandon and the whole team.
Yes,
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Michelle, you mentioned your podcast. Will you tell us what you guys cover there and like what the name of it is? I want to get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rural First, we've launched a podcast called Living Rural. I think there's probably 15 to 18 episodes out there now, but it's just, some introduction. We do have a couple other builders that we've focused or, had on the show, title companies. There's one huge one on construction, what it is, how it works, and just it's a good podcast to listen to. So yeah.
Well, we'll tag you and we'll link out to that one just so
absolutely.
people. I mean, the more you know, right? With the rainbow going across, that's just it's good for people to have the information and have access to those resources.
I think a lot of people today have a lot of windshield time, right? So it's easy to hop on a podcast while you're driving.
Yeah, I do a lot of that.
Yep.
It's great.
Matt likes to make calls while he drives.
I do a lot of
too.
phone calls too. Yeah.
Can always tell. He's like, hey, touching base. And I'm like, you're driving, aren't you?
Sometimes you're in the truck for like 4 hours a day, and it's just a good way to catch up with people and reach out to vendors, reach out to clients. It's a great time to see where we're at in the projects. So.
Well, before I throw you guys a curveball with the off the rails segment, because this has already been 25 minutes. Can you believe that?
Oh man,
it flew by.
Really
I told
fast.
you. Is there anything else you want to cover from the custom home building aspect or the construction to perm? I mean, anything else that you guys feel that, current clients, future clients, or just people should know about those two topics?
For me, it's just, if you're thinking about building and you're not sure where to turn, I think it's easy to say, jump on Origin's website, give us a call, and have a conversation because we're traveling right now all the way to Keokuk County. We'll be traveling to Dunlap here soon, which is kind of over by Denison. So right now we're slowly branching out and we're getting further and further with our outreach. So don't be afraid to reach out and just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and where do I start? And even if you don't have land, like you were saying before, some people don't have land, but they know they want to do this. We can assist with that too, and we can help, and we're here to help. So we want to do our part to keep spreading, the custom love around rural Iowa.
Yeah. And I would say there's no right or wrong. Whether you come to a lender first or you go to a builder first, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We can do it either way. And with, like I said, our one-time close, one thing I forgot to mention is, I talked about how we're locking up front. So we're locking on day one. You're already in your permanent financing. You don't have to worry about, hurry up, Mr. Contractor, rates are going up. This economy's going crazy. I need my house done so I can lock my rate. You're locked in. With us, all of our loans have a rate conversion where when rates drop, we can reduce that rate for them for a flat fee. We don't do another appraisal. We don't do title work. It's just a flat fee of $750.
Oh, nice.
And they can reduce that rate. And they can do that once every 12 months for the life of that loan. So that's another little perk.
Oh, that's a great perk. Yeah.
First has to offer. It's very unique.
I did have one question about that. So when you have a traditional construction loan, typically you're paying interest only during the build. How does yours
Yep,
good
good question.
Similar, or
yep,
how does
good
that
question.
Work?
So because we've locked you in, you will pay principal payment on the full loan amount, but interest only based on what you've drawn. So as you and your contractor need the funds, it's just interest only.
Sure.
You'll have a little bit of principal payment based on the full loan amount. If you've borrowed money before, we hardly pay any principal at the beginning, right? It's all interest. So that's minimal, but then it's not really fully amortized until the end, until you're done drawing.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense. I like
good question. So yeah.
I find it helpful as someone who has not built a custom home, but has, I look at it at the land that I know I will hopefully have someday and I'm excited about it. And I'm like, where can I put a house? How can I make it happen? And, I don't think it's where my parents' house is today. And I've got big dreams. Yeah. So it's exciting
and it takes time to plan all that out. Yeah. It really does.
It truly does. Mm-hmm. My husband's going to roll his eyes hard if he's listening to this one. He's like, we just renovated the house over, during COVID, little COVID project. Yeah. All right. We're jumping into the off the rails segment. You guys, it's not that hard of a question. It's kind of a funny question. All right. Off the rails again. It's a randomly generated question. So you haven't heard it. Here we go. Either of you can answer first. What is one of your favorite smells?
Lavender.
Ooh.
I love lavender. Yeah.
For me, it's Thanksgiving. It's the turkey.
Oh, like
It's
when
the
you walk
turkey,
into the
yeah.
house,
Nice.
that smell.
And then I grew up with a lot of crock pot meals.
Oh,
so
yes.
you'd come home from church and the crock pot was going and you walk in and you're like, I'm going to devour this and then I'm going to take a nap.
Yep.
Because that's what happens
Because
on
you
a
got me up
Sunday.
early for church
Yes.
on a
I
Sunday.
got up early and I'm going to just eat this crock pot meal. So yeah, but Thanksgiving for sure.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
The turkey and the
I'll add
mashed
mine
potatoes.
in here. Seasonal, fresh cut hay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I know
that's a good one.
I know it sends some people's allergies through
Yeah.
the roof, but for me, I could just put my face in it and just take a big whiff, and I'm like, it's here.
You know,
Hey.
the other one, since we're talking about construction,
Fresh.
is that when you show up on site when they're framing
I was going to say the
and,
wood.
and the wood, the
Wood,
sawdust.
sawdust,
Oh
yeah.
man, that's great. That's
Sawdust brings
progress.
me. My dad was he made his own window grills, and so he did that as a kid growing up. He had his own wood shop, and sawdust brings me. It's almost a time transportation for me on that. It's not necessarily a favorite smell, but I go back to my childhood whenever I smell sawdust.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Anytime. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for making the time to come on here. Again, Rural First has a podcast called
Living rural.
All right, making sure I get it right.
Yep.
And then originhomesiowa.com. Check out the custom plans. Obviously, you guys have a few available homes too right now, which are in
We do.
Knoxville and coming up in Gowrie and Manning, which are
We do.
out
Yep.
on the website.
Yep, those are on our website. You can find them on the MLS as well. So
Cool.
got that line going.
Well, and if anyone ever has questions about how to build custom home between this podcast and you two, it sounds like a pretty good resource. So
Thanks for having me. Glad to
Yeah.
be here.
thank
this
you.
was
Thank you.
fun.
Yeah.
This was fun. I appreciate you taking the time this morning, and Claire, thanks for setting it up.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Anytime. And you can catch Dig It, a real estate podcast by Hubbell Realty Company, anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and you can also watch it on YouTube at Hubbell's YouTube account, Dig It. Thanks,
I love
everyone.
it.
Thank you.